We welcome you to the 2025 Big East Women's Basketball Tournament from Mohegan Sun Arena. The Yukon Huskies, the heavyweights of this conference, put their eyes on a 30th conference tournament crown in program history. They take on the 8th-seeded St. John's Red Storm to start our quarterfinal quadruple header. It's the Huskies and the Johnnies. The Johnnies got past Butler with a big second half behind their defense to start our day. Game 2 coming up on FS2 after us here. It'll be Marquette and Villanova in an intriguing one. As we welcome you to Uncasville, everybody, I'm John Fanta. My partner is Kim Adams. So, Kim, the Huskies, they come into postseason riding a high. A win over South Carolina, one of their biggest highlights, if not their biggest. What do you make of this team right now? Yeah, well, this is the second straight season. UConn has rolled through Big East play undefeated. And I really think this is a team that is primed for success in the postseason. They are playing at a Final Four national championship type level right now with two All-Americans in Paige Beckers and Sarah Strong. And they have the depth that they did not have at this point of the season last year. So, John, I'm excited to see this UConn team enter this new phase of the season. This capacity crowd is ready, and we're ready to welcome in a new member of our Big East championship team this year. Hello, Allison Williams. Hey there, John. There's no denying UConn has dominated this conference, this tournament, and here at Mohegan Sun, where they are 42-1. St. John's head coach Joe Tartamella isn't shying away from that. He said, we have to compete knowing this is going to be hard. UConn could win a national championship. You have to focus on playing the right way. How does it look? How does it feel? What does it sound like? Are you communicating and fighting? And then you have to do it in this atmosphere. So yeah, it's a challenge, he said, but why wouldn't you want that? It's the reason you play. Thank you, Allison. Let's turn to our starting lineup, sponsored by Jeep. There's only one note for UConn. Their veteran wing Aubrey Griffin typically comes off the bench, but she is not available for the Big East tournament due to knee soreness. They hope to have her back for the NCAA tournament and plan to. For St. John's, Kim, they've got the Big East Defensive Player of the Year, Lachey Dwyer. Yeah, Lachey Dwyer getting that accolade in just her first season in the conference. She had transferred in from Miami, also leads this Red Storm team in scoring 13.5 points per game and 3 swipes per game. They are going to rely heavily upon her and Bernaya Mayo. Our officials, Billy Smith, Harold Overstreet, and Saeed Thesho. UConn in the white, St. John's in the navy blue, and the tip belongs to the Huskies. Sarah Strong is the Big East Freshman of the Year with a handoff to Paige Beckers, who's off on the opening attempt. They didn't get it to drop, but right away, Gino putting those 2 stars in pick-and-roll action. St. John's cannot convert on the attempt from Jayla Donald, but an extra opportunity for the Red Storm, who used their defense and held Butler to just 50 points in yesterday's first-round win. As Gino Auriemma talk with us pregame, now the all-time winningest college basketball head coach of all time with 1,241. And Kim, he said one of the most satisfying parts of this time of year is he gets to see how his players will take on the postseason. Yeah, I mean, he clearly has all the experience and success in the world. He is especially excited to see Sarah Strong in her first postseason appearance, a freshman. Shot clock down to 10, and St. John's turns it over. Well, Joe Tartamella, winning as St. John's head coach in program history. Kim, he was with this program as a grad assistant, worked for Kim Barnes-Arico over 2 decades. Yeah, he has been with this program through and through, was really pleased with their win yesterday. And as Allison said, just excited about this opportunity to take on a UConn team that he beat not too long ago. No, his team's the last team to beat the Huskies of Big East competition. Over now 2 years ago. Shot clock at 12. AZ Fudd takes it away. Fudd coming off a good performance against Marquette. Cannot hit the bunny. Maybe a little jitters. First game of the tournament. St. John's in transition, and one for Bernaya Mayo. Yeah, Bernaya Mayo has really picked up her scoring in recent games, John. Coming into this one,
21 points per game in her last 3 of these. Were the 2 guards that we keyed in on needing to lead the way. Lachey Dwyer getting it out in the middle of the floor in transition, and Mayo with the N1 opportunity.
Joe Tartamella said Bernaya is just the ultimate leader. As UConn try to take that lid off and start their postseason. It's Strong. What a year she's having. Can't finish. Putback is there for Jenna Al-Alfi.
And she's a player that they would love to establish early. Al-Alfi has shown some glimpses across the season, was really good at points of that South Carolina win. They'd love to get her a little bit more consistent as they enter this postseason stretch.
Shot clock down to 10, and foot was out of bounds. Back to the Huskies.
UConn has missed a couple of easy ones early. This is a good look from the freshman Sarah Strong on the mismatch, but Jana El-Alfi at 6'5", coming in to clean it up.
70th meeting between these two programs. Huskies lead the series 51-18. Beckers had that altered. Second and third effort, that'll send Strong to the line.
And early on, we're seeing a theme, John. St. John's is going to have to box these UConn Huskies out. They're giving up a lot of size in the one-on-one matchups. We've seen a couple of offensive rebounds already for the Huskies.
How about Sarah Strong, Tim Adams? Just the 5th Husky all-time to hit 500 points in a single season. What stands out to you the most about this freshman?
Yeah, there's a couple things. One, I think the way she has excelled on the defensive end of the floor. She's leading this UConn team in blocks and steals, and just her efficiency as well. She's almost at 60% shooting on the season. That is second in the Big East. So to come in your first year and just impact on both ends of the ball and be that efficient, high-level stuff from Sarah Strong.
Shot clock at 12 for Mayo in the Red Storm, who beat Butler in the first round yesterday. A corner 3 in and out for Jayla Donald. Paige Beckers is fouled by Dwyer.
UConn can be so dangerous in transition, and you see Dwyer, the defensive player of the year in the conference, getting to Paige Beckers early, but you have to be ready to slide your feet against Paige Beckers.
Paige Beckers is long. 0 for 2 to start for Beckers. Well, that's just it, Kim, because Joe Tartamella told us he knows that his team can make some shots. Not good timing on that reference as Dwyer delivers an air ball. He believes in his team's ability to guard. They were top 25 in the country, allowing just 56 points per game.
Yeah, this is a team that really locks up in the half court. They can disrupt you, steals, force turnovers. But right now, UConn really packing things in defensively on the other end, trying to force St. John's to have to do some damage from the outside.
Jana El-Alfi starting the Big East tournament strong.
She's going to have a size advantage in this matchup, in really any Big East opponent she faces. So the intention to get it into her early, she's solid on that footwork inside.
Here's Phoenix Giddy on the back down. Can't get it to go. Rebound is Strong. You said they're so dangerous in these spots, and you can see why as Jen is fouled.
Yeah, transition defense has to be paramount for St. John's. Stopping the ball, locating shooters on the perimeter. That time it was a little give and go action. As we look back at this post-entry pass from Chen into El-Alfi, isolating her on that side of the floor so that there's really nobody that's able to come dig down at her. And El-Alfi off to a solid start in this game.
Caitlin Chen, transfer from Princeton, with 104 assists on the season. What has she given UConn?
She's given them leadership at the point guard spot. She's poised. She makes good decisions. When she was at Princeton, a little bit more of a scorer, averaging about 15 points per game. Here she's more of a pass-first point guard, but she's just steady on the floor, a player you can trust in big moments.
Well, this UConn team, they rolled past Marquette on Paige Becker's, Aubrey Griffin and company's senior day, 92-57 on Sunday. On the shot clock, down to 7. This is where the Huskies have been so tough as Al-Alfi commits a foul.
Yeah, that's a tough one right there because you've defended so well for 23 seconds. You've locked up the perimeter, and now you give St. John's another look at it with 20 seconds on the shot clock. Just want to be a little smarter there. You like how aggressive she's playing, just a little smarter. And let's keep in mind, she is a freshman as well, playing in her first postseason game.
Missed all last year due to an injury. 10 on the shot clock for the Red Storm, getting deeper into that timer again. 5 on the timer for Dwyer. It's down to 3. Kick out to the corner, and that one a little bit long for Lavelle, but an offensive rebound for the Johnnies.
The perimeter defense has just been so good for UConn to start this game. There's really no Navy jerseys have been able to break through that three-point line.
Huskies 4th in the country. They only allow 52 per game as Fudd works a deflection. And St. John's will have it with 5 seconds on the timer. After this, Huskies setting the tone with some defense. Let's flash back to February 21st, 2023. St. John's beat UConn for the first time in 11 years. Danielle Patterson, who now is on Joe Tartamella's staff. She and Kadeja Bailey each had 20 points, and Jayla Everett, who guided the Johnnies to the NCAA tournament that season, added 17, a 69-64 upset win. It bears noting no Paige Beckers, who was out for the year, no AZ Fudd, who was still out during that time. But for the Red Storm, Ken, that really secured their NCAA tournament at-large spot. They were one of the last 4 in.
Yeah, I was actually on the call for their tournament games. They won that first 4 game. Jayla Everett was a star, and Joe Tartamella, last couple of years, has been really successful at finding a grad transfer that fits his system as Sky Owen tries to heave one up. And this year, it's Lachey Dwyer.
Allison Williams was listening in on Joe Tartamella's huddle. What did you hear?
Yeah, and if St. John's wants to pull off that kind of upset again, Coach Tartamella telling his team, you have to be more physical and attack. He said, we're still playing on our heels right now. We're taking the shots we don't want to, and that is just fueling UConn.
Thanks, Allison. Paige Beckers is on the board.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we've seen in St. John's half-court offense so far. Just a lot of passing around the perimeter as UConn trying to force a turnover in the full court. They're going to get a jump ball. It'll stay with St. John's. Paige Beckers takes her a couple of minutes to get going, but finally finds success the way she is able to just stop on a dime and elevate at any moment. That's her first 2 of this year's Big East tournament.
And gives her 2,225 career points.
It's a whole lot of points. Nobody at UConn got to 2,000 quicker than Paige Beckers did this season.
So keep reminding Maya more of that.
I'm still sad we didn't get to see more Maya Moore at the pro level, but she deserves her retirement.
Absolutely. Bernaya Mayo short. Here's KK Arnold. Well, Gino Auriemma told us, when I bring in KK Arnold, as well as Ashton Shea, they are 6th and 7th starters because they changed the game.
Yeah, KK Arnold, such a force coming in off the bench, really brings the energy defensively, but you see her ability there to just break a defense down and get to the rim. Instant impact for KK.
11-0 Connecticut run. And the Red Storm cannot keep it in.
KK Arnold was such a huge piece in the miraculous UConn run to the Final Four last season when they did not have many players available. Now she's shifted to coming in off the bench, and she brings that same fire, that same passion, as we see her get right to the middle of the paint on that drive.
Here is Arnold. Oriema told she just gives us a burst. Not on that time, but a foul. I'll give the Red Storm the basketball.
Yeah, KK Arnold just makes momentum-changing plays. A lot of them come on the defensive end. She gets out in the passing lane. She may take a charge. But there's certainly normally a noticeable shift in the energy of the game when KK Arnold comes in.
And Kim, this is the press. Whether they stay aggressive or back off, it changes from time to time. But Gina Oriema pulled this out in the regular season title clinching win over Creighton. It changed the game.
Yeah, and they have the personnel to do it. They have the depth to do it. You didn't see it much at all last season, maybe never, because they were playing with about 6 or 7 bodies all season long. But now when Gino can go 9 or 10 deep, that's something they can pull out and effectively use.
AZ Fudd gets revved up.
And AZ Fudd read that screen perfectly, and she set it up perfectly. She brought her defender down to hang them up on the screen, and then she flares back. Can't go under the screen on AZ Fudd.
First 3 of this ball game, and a timeout called by Joe Tartamella. We'll take a TO2. AZ Fudd, her shot making. The perimeter shot making of this UConn team. It can get on fire quickly. UConn has scored 14 straight. And after an AZ Fudd 3, Kim, this is a big storyline heading into this conference tournament because AZ Fudd, who has also got hit by the injury bug, a couple of ACL injuries in her playing career, she has a decision to make. And she owes it to UConn for her coach, Gino Oriema, because he has to see what he has to do with his roster going forward with the portal opening. She has to let him know by about a day after this conference tournament ends whether she's going to go to the WNBA or stay at UConn.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a heavy decision to have to make at this point of the year. You hope that she's able to just prioritize her play on the court this weekend. But it'll certainly be interesting with such a loaded draft class this season. Paige Becker's expected to be #1, of course.
Fudd off there, Sarah Strong on the offensive glass. Fudd missed it from point-blank range. St. John's trying to snap out of it.
And I think they're going to have to get out like they did there, John, try to disrupt, rebound, and run a little bit because this UConn half-court defense has just locked everything up so far in this game. They're not able to really even get anything in the paint. Another deep one forced.
This UConn team just picking up steam defensively, and then you give Beckers transition buckets, and that's what she does.
And that's just rhythm for Paige Beckers, and that's why you have to stop the ball early. You have to locate Paige Beckers early in transition. You have to take good shots on your end. That deep 3 really allowed UConn to grab it and get out and run with numbers.
St. John's scored in the first 90 seconds of this game. They have not since. They've missed 11 consecutive field goal attempts. And Beckers is fouled.
Gino Oriema wants this UConn team to get out and run. KK Arnold leading the break, and then they focus too late on Paige Beckers. You can't trail her. You have to meet her really as soon as she's crossing half court. This is now a couple of buckets we've seen from Paige where she just stops on a dime, locks that elbow into place, and that beautiful elevation up.
Here is Beckers. Fudd driving. This time she hits.
Now that is a hesitation. AZ Fudd was always known as a three-point shooter, but has gotten so good at mixing up her looks and attacking. And UConn forces another turnover with this full court pressure.
It was because of Beckers' efforts. And Kim, that perhaps sums up UConn. They're up 18-2, and she's fighting to get a loose ball.
She loves to get after it on the defensive end as well. And she takes those matchups personally. She's got great length on the defensive end to deflect and disrupt.
2 points. An unbelievable defensive effort by the Huskies.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of talk about how good they are offensively, but their defense may be somewhat overlooked. 4th in the country in scoring defense.
That was Dwyer who tried to alter it. Shot clock at 5. Fudd. It's at 3. Beckers with 2. Paige Beckers is short. There's Sarah Strong on the offensive glass, and that does it for the opening quarter. UConn scored the final 18 of the frame, and the Huskies are rolling to begin another run towards a title.
I asked you not to do, you've done. You don't want to step to the ball? Turn up. Soft. But you're playing on your heels on offense. 2 points. So we had our opportunity earlier. They're missing shots. We never get going. You got shots. You sped up, miss. You let it affect you how we play down here. It can't happen.
15 seconds left.
So now you're in a huge hole.
I always love how real Joe Tartamella keeps it with his team. Whether we are listening in on a practice, we're in a conversation with him, we heard it right there in the huddle. The word he used was soft offensively, and he mentioned little details like stepping to the ball that are leading to turnovers, and we see this tough offensive start. And then he mentioned playing on the heels defensively, being a step late, not finding Paige Beckers in transition. So all of these little changes, let's see if they can adjust out of the timeout. But I mentioned it a little earlier, John, I do think St. John's is going to need to get out and run and play with a little bit of pace, because UConn is extremely locked in with their half-court defense.
Joe Tartamella and Gino Auriemma, also great friends. They get together with dinner typically the night before every game that they face off in. Of course, Gino Auriemma has his restaurant Aura to take any opposing coach to the night before a game.
Hey, it's a pretty nice offer. Do you think they exchange one play? Like, hey, here's one from our playbook. Or do you think they keep it strictly business?
Well, we sort of found out Aubrey Griffin was out for this game because Gino said, hey, Joe, she's not going to play today. He doesn't hide anything from his friend. Griffin, they plan to have her back for the NCAA tournament, dealing with knee soreness. That one is short. Look at Chen pursue the offensive rebound. Ashlyn Shade is short. Another offensive rebound, and it's strong.
And that's now about 6 or 7 offensive rebounds for UConn to start this game. And there's no denying it. St. John's is completely undersized in this matchup, so that makes positioning more important. Angles, getting to a spot and pushing people out, because you're simply not going to out-jump anybody on the glass today.
10 on the shot clock. That was altered by Strong.
We talked about how she impacts the defensive end and how maybe that has gone a little bit under the radar. Caitlin Chen, the answer.
All fundamentals by Chen. Came to a stop, banked it in.
Playing off 2 feet, a lost art. I know you always do that.
Foul from behind by Fudd.
Gino Auriemma excited to see his stellar freshman take the floor for the first time in the postseason. She's been scoring. Just look at all that space she's able to cover, the wingspan. Really great instincts on the defensive end, raised in a basketball family, and that has certainly shown through all season long. Her
mom, Allison Feaster, who played at Harvard, WNBA from 98 to 08. Dad, Danny, played his college ball at NC State, and both parents playing professionally overseas. Allison is just a great on and off the floor.
You know I always love an Ivy League hoop shout out. Good company. We got Caitlin Chen out here, Allison Feaster.
7 on the shot clock. Wow. Another rejection by Strong. Down to 3. It's at 2. Do they realize it? It's a shot clock violation.
And again, we see the impact of Sarah Strong, the smarts, and she's able to get these blocked shots without putting herself in a position to foul. She's got a great awareness of where her body is. And Gino Auriemma to give her a break and bring in Ice Brady, who has recently returned from injury. Already 8 rebounds for Sarah Strong.
When Ice Brady missed 7 games from February 2nd to March 2nd. Came back this past Sunday. Allison with more.
Well, I asked Paige Beckers about playing with Sarah Strong, and she said the best way to describe it is just easy, because she does everything so well. She can pass, defend, score, rebound. She knows the game so well that if you put the two of us in a ball screen or action, it's usually a high efficiency because she knows the game and can read the game. She said, it makes me just sad to think we only have 1 year together, so I'm just trying to embrace it and enjoy it, because as hard as she is to defend and game plan for, she is so easy to play with.
Yeah, that's really cool stuff, Allison. And you wouldn't think that about a freshman, that they make things easier for you. And hey, we can remind Paige she does have 1 more year of eligibility. I'm sure UConn fans would love to see this duo play together for 1 more year.
Little gives. That 3 is good for Ariana Vanderhoop, and St. John's drought ends.
Really necessary shot to just take a little bit of a deep breath, let the shoulders down, and to space the floor a little bit too.
It was 22 straight for the Huskies. Before that, Beckers is off. Here come the Johnnies. Beckers just took that away from Little. Then Beckers taps it ahead of herself. The brilliance of Paige Beckers.
Yeah, Paige just snatched that ball. So active on the defensive end, really instinctual at getting in passing lanes, anticipating, and can just bring it down to the other floor in a blink of an eye.
Kim, they are so extended far on the Red Storm.
Yeah, I'm thinking back to that loss against USC. I think that game really woke up the defense. They did not bring the defense in that loss. Ever since that game, there has been so much more activity, tenacity on the defensive end. We're seeing it here in this first half.
Now Beckers plays quarterback to Chen. She can't hit. That's back-to-back swipes from Paige Beckers. You're right. You just said it with what changed the season. That game against USC, eye-opening. Gino Auriemma telling us as Gideon is off. Brady taps it off the glass, and now Brady and Gideon in a tangle. Fouls on St. John's. Another look.
Oh, it looked like, to me, it looked like Gideon had her wrapped up. I think that may have been a missed call there. Yeah, I mean, Gideon is just really, I guess that's not something they can look at. No, it looks like they may look at it. But to me, yeah, I think they're going to look at this for an unobserved, because it certainly looks like Gideon wrapped her up and pulled her to the ground.
Absolutely. But by looking at that, that looks like the term that we can use, hook and hold. So they will look at this for a potential upgrade. Billy Smith, Metal, Overstreet safe. Esho will take a look. We'll take a break with UConn rolling. Becker's mother, Amy, wearing her daughter's Nike sweatshirt, the black hoodie out today. And for Paige Beckers, the legend just continues, Kim Adams.
Yeah, Paige Beckers missed her first couple shots of the game, but she has heated up quickly. She's gotten after it on the defensive end with 2 steals, and she's been loving this mid-range pull-up game to start this one. 6 points for Paige. So active on the defensive end, one of the best in going defense to offense, coast to coast. And we take a look at the all-time leading scorers in program history. I mean, these are legends of the game, and as we mentioned earlier, nobody got to 2,000 quicker than Paige Beckers. So she has a little bit of ways to go to continue moving her way up on this list. It'll all come down to just how far this UConn team can extend a postseason run.
Well, when you think about what she's been through, the tibial fracture, an ACL injury that derailed the season, she said, I think when this is all said and done, I'm going to have a story to tell. And I already have one to tell little girls, that you fight through adversity when it hits you.
And there are plenty of young girls. Even Fudd rims out, but I saw the cutest little girl in the elevator today, probably 3 or 4 years old, with her Paige jersey and braids. An answer for St. John's, because a lot of Paige Beckers jerseys in the building here at Mohegan Sun.
Sure are. Kylie Lavelle knocking down the baseline, Jay. St. John's We're locked up by UConn's defense in the opening frame, just 2 points. Strong, left wide open, and an air ball. A runner, just a lid on the bucket for most of the first half. Even when St. John's has gotten an open look, Chen delivers to Strong.
A little tic-tac-toe there. Such an unselfish play from Chin. Sarah Strong running the floor, getting the spot. This team's chemistry right now, offensively and defensively, is just at an elite level, and that's why I think they are a very dangerous team for the next couple of weeks.
Lavelle gets it to go.
Now a couple of threes have dropped in for St. John's. Kylie Lavelle has been making more threes over the last couple of games.
But Fudge switches it home.
Another fundamental look for AZ Fudd. Looks very similar to the pull-ups we've seen from Paige in that area. Just stepping up into that shot and rising up with the smooth finish. Already 7 points for AZ.
12 on the shot clock. Lavelle, transferred in from Penn State, has caught fire. Kylie Lavelle.
A really nice creation from Sky Owen. We mentioned earlier in the game, St. John's was having trouble breaking through that perimeter defense to get into the paint, but that time Owen was able to do that and kick it out to Lavelle.
You think about the fact that it was a 22-2 ball game for St. John's. A chance to get within 13, if not 12, with the way things started.
Yeah, Kylie Lavelle has the last 8 points, and they are up a point here in this second quarter. 11-10 advantage St. John's. They've settled in.
Shot clock at 6. Lavelle thought about it to Vanderhoop. Vanderhoop connects.
Vanderhoop has come in off the bench and given them some scoring as well. Vanderhoop and Lavelle have really been able to space out the floor with their range.
St. John's has made 3 straight. Brady with Strong. Chen, Fudd, and Arnold on the floor for the Huskies. It's down to 8, 5. In and out. That's going the other way and over the back on Sarah Strong.
Kylie Lavelle has really helped St. John's get back in this game. The junior has transferred in from Penn State. Joe Tartamella loves her ability to stretch the floor, and this time really fundamental, getting into the paint. 2 defenders come with her, and Ariana Vanderhoop able to hit. And those 2 have really helped get a St. John's offensive run going after a really tough start.
From Drexel to Penn State to St. John's for Kylie Lavelle.
Joe Tartamella really excited about the potential she still has, and already looking ahead to next season and getting a full summer of work in with her.
Mayo is short. This time the Huskies get a stop. Arnold kicking. Ashlyn Shade, the Big East 6th player of the year.
That transition just puts so much pressure on a defense. KK Arnold just so quickly explodes deep into that paint, forces people to have to shift around, and opens up a shot for Ashlyn Shade.
Shot clock at 10 for the Johnny's leader, Mayo.
Lavelle wants the mismatch in there. They haven't been able to feed it in.
Down to 3, it's Owen. She had 13 yesterday. A heave is long. Mayo does get the offensive rebound. That does not make Chino Auriemma happy.
And it makes Joe Tartamella happy after we heard him in that huddle at the timeout saying his team was playing soft. They've certainly played with some more pride and passion here in the second quarter.
After it was 18-2, following the first shot clock, again down to 2. A prayer is heaved up, and that's a violation. See the emotions of Coach Tartamella. For a 10th turnover to none for Connecticut. Final minute of the first half. Strong. Long. Tap left out by Shade. It's the little things, Kim.
Without a doubt, especially at this time of year. The hustle plays, the game-shifting play, just a little thing like that from Ashlyn Shade. She won't get credited with the assist because Paige put it on the floor, but really it is an unofficial assist to Ashlyn Shade.
Shade with a deflection. Down to 12, a drive, and that is a really difficult finish by Lachey Dwyer.
Yeah, tough take, super speedy, had Sarah Strong trailing her, but a strong finish. UConn not recognizing that they could have run the game clock down here. If they wanted to, UConn could have run the clock down here for the last shot. Not sure how Gino is going to feel about this. Paige Beckers is going to get to the line for two, but St. John's will have a chance to answer with the last possession of the half.
Coming up on the Jeep halftime report, we'll have first half stats and analysis and a preview of our quarterfinal game number 2 between Marquette and Villanova. Featuring the Big East co-head coach of the year, Kara Consuegra of Marquette. She and Gino Auriemma claim the honors. What are you thinking here through the Red Storm?
I think keep the ball in the hands of Mayo or Dwyer, those two able to dice something up, and Lavelle be ready to space out and knock something down. She's had the hot hand.
Down to 6 for Mayo. Mayo with 3. That is a long 3. It's off, and that does it for the first half.
Really impressive stuff for UConn to start that first quarter, but a really nice response for St. John's in the second quarter. Just 2.
Our DJ going back to 2012 with some Nicki Minaj. All right, our star watch, Kim Adams. What do you see?
Yeah, Paige Beckers come to expect this, already 10 points, but then Kylie Lavelle gave St. John's a really nice boost in that second quarter.
Let's go in the film room with Kim Adams on Paige Beckers.
Oh yeah, our Fox Sports team is pulling out all the bells and whistles for this Big East tournament. You see Paige Beckers just reading that screen from Sarah Strong and then able to turn the corner and get to that mid-range area where she has been so good, leading the break in transition. And again, she sees that defender is on their heels a little bit. She says, I'm going to pull up, and ooh, look at the eyesight here, like a superhero just snatching that ball. Her anticipation skills on the defensive end are tremendous, and just coast to coast for Paige Beckers. If there's ever a player to use that technology for, it is Paige Beckers, just because of how well she reads things and comes off of screens. Excited to have that available to us this tournament.
Allison Williams spoke with Joe Tartamella at halftime. What did he tell you, Allison?
Yeah, well, John, remember he told us that even though this would be a challenge, it needed to look and feel right. And he said while it absolutely did not in the first quarter, it did in the second quarter. A big reason why is because they were able to hit some of those shots. He said we took too many uncharacteristic shots against their pressure early in this game. We were smarter with our shot selection, and they fell, so that allowed us to play at a better tempo against them. And he said, obviously, Kylie Lavelle, a big reason why. He said, we've got to get other people involved. So Dwyer, Mayo combined for just 4 points in that first half. He said, that has to be different here if we're going to have a chance.
Thank you, Allison. Yeah, that first quarter, St. John's was just extremely passive against the UConn defense, just kind of passing around the perimeter. Then we saw a shift in the second quarter where they were able to get 2 feet in the paint. That opened up things for the shooters like Kylie Lavelle, but he's right. Their stars haven't really gotten going yet. Lachey Dwyer, the leading scorer, Bernaya Mayo, but they have gotten a nice boost from some more role-type players. Let's see how they start off this third quarter here, maybe trying to get Dwyer Mayo involved right away.
They attack right away. That was an errant pass, but it stays with the Red Storm. Lavelle, 8 in the first half, short on her first attempt, but it also shows the Joe Tartamella standards. 8 postseason appearances in 12 years for him at the helm. really led this program to some strong heights.
Yeah, this was a season where they had graduated their 2 leading scorers in Unique Drake, Jillian Archer. So he was able to really find some scoring and success throughout the course of the season.
Sarah Strong shows her range.
That's the versatility we mentioned, John. She doesn't really have a position at 6'2". I mean, she can knock that down with ease. She's comfortable on the perimeter, and that's why Gina Auriemma told us before the game, she's not just a matchup problem for any team in this tournament. She's a matchup problem for any team in the country.
45th made 3 of the year, 37% from downtown. Shot clock at 5. Mayo is short, and it's going the other way. Tom Bahati. Well, that was some high praise from Gina Auriemma. And Kim, you've covered this team all throughout the season. There are many who are saying, look, as great as Beckers and Fudd are, and they are fantastic, Strong gives them the national championship caliber ceiling.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it is an incredibly strong trio that you have to contend with. But as Paige Becker just living in the mid-range, putting on a mid-range pull-up clinic today, like she's just out there with some chair drills. But Sarah, oh my gosh, right on cue.
And then Sarah Lavelle Corral, but my goodness. That 3 is off, and she made it back for the rebound. Now running the floor, trying to find Al Alfie. It stays with UConn after Strong's 3rd block.
And again, we are seeing her defensive instincts. And John, what's been impressive about her 3 blocks, in no way does she ever put herself in a position for the official to whistle her for a foul. She really has control of her body. That we'll have to get an official read on her wingspan, because the way she's just swallowing up some of these shots leads me to believe her wingspan is longer than her 6'2" frame.
You'll bring out the measuring tape. We'll get that done at some point.
And do a little Big East combine.
Vanderhoop from the corner.
And that's a mistake from UConn. And Gina Auriemma not happy on the bench. Vanderhoop had hit a 3 or 2 in the first half. She's one of their better 3-point shooters, 37%, and no one is in the same zip code of her in transition.
Vanderhoop, NCAA tournament experience. The transfer from Monmouth. Beckers is in her bag. 14 for Paige Beckers.
I mean, it's just like it's on loop. I think every bucket Paige has scored, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 layups, has been that same pull-up. So St. John's, they need to start meeting her with a hard hedge, I think, coming over, meeting her on the other side of that screen and force her to do something else with it.
That's what I was going to say to you. How do you keep her from doing that? As Dwyer can't hit, but is it as simple as you got to make it hard for her to even get the ball in the first place?
Here it comes again. See, that time they send somebody out to meet her on the other side of that screen. They don't allow her to turn the corner. That's called a hard hedge. They have to meet her high up on that.
Even then, she still gets to the left elbow and is fouled.
Well, that's the thing. When you take something away, she's got a tool bag. So here, Mayo does a little bit of a better job of just forcing her out. She sets up her screen so well. This is a flare screen. She's as good as anyone in the country, John, at reading the screen. So even on that little one there, she saw the defender sink. She flared out and attacks the closeout.
Jenna Al Alfie on a post-up. That's an offensive foul.
Well, Paige Becker's calling for the flop.
Yeah, she did. Gina Auriemma told us, I've been doing this for 40 years. And 36 of
Look at that look. That shows you 40 years.
Right.
Exasperated.
35 of which without Paige Beckers. He goes, I do it the first 35. No player comes in and ever tells me, here, you don't know what you're doing. And then she came in and said, Coach, I think you're wrong on all these different things. They have banter, rich banter in them.
They do. It's been fun to follow the relationship between those two over the years.
Dwyer to Vanderhoop, skip pass to the corner, down to 2, Sky Owen. Offensive rebound for Gideon. To the corner, The Red Storm have some shot makers. That one's good from Dwyer.
Great sequence from Phoenix Gideon, fighting for that offensive board, and then a really crisp pass out to Dwyer before the defense could close out.
Dwyer, the Big East Defensive Player of the Year, the third under Joe Tartamella to win that honor. Oh, strong with a collision.
Oh, I don't know.
That's a blocking call. That's what the call was on Dwyer.
That's a tough one for Dwyer. I mean, first of all, she's giving up a lot of size in this matchup, and we were just saying Defensive Player of the Year. Yeah, maybe just didn't quite get established in time, but still you love that intensity from her to even line up and put her body on the line. It did look like Strong may have extended the elbow a touch, but I don't think Dwyer got there quite in time.
Joe Tartamella surprised the Shea Dwyer. He showed pictures of Aaliyah Hanford, Leah Lewis, past Defensive Player of the Year winners. Nobody could stop Beckers. 16.
It's a clinic right now for Paige Beckers. They're going to have to find a way to try to push her off of those spots and force her to try to do something else with the basketball. She's just going through drills out there right now.
Kim getting a chance to watch her at shoot-around on Sunday against Marquette and just taking it all in, even listening to her the last week. She knows what the assignment is. She knows the one thing she's got to capture is the shot clock's at 3. It's at 1. There's Beckers with a rejection. And Kim, she knows what that legacy, what she can do to put the exclamation point on it.
Yeah, and she's going to be locked in. I mean, I think it's a lot of pressure to put on oneself, but she came to UConn to win a national championship.
Timeout St. John's, and she isn't backing away from that challenge. Paige Beckers, right in that National Player of the Year mix. The Big East Player of the Year, and Ice Brady. Her return for from Rebecca Lobo, Carol Walters, Jem Rosati and company in 95 to 2000 when the Huskies won their second, to an amazing run from 02 to 04. Taurasi and Ann Strother and company, Maya Moore, Tina Charles, Stewie, and the run of unbelievable excellence from 13 to 16. UConn, the women, have been as strong a collegiate sports program as you will ever see. They're up by 22 right now on St. John's. Paige Beckers wants to make history in the national title column as well, and Allison Williams talked with number 5 about it.
Yeah, I asked Paige about her mindset in this postseason, and she said it is different this year, knowing it's her last March Madness and Big East Conference tournament. She said, I'm really just trying to embrace it. Of course, there's a pressure, right, when you're playing in the postseason and with what she's trying to accomplish. She said, I really just want to have fun, though, and enjoy this because I know I'm never going to get to do it again. She said, I am determined just to lead by example with how hard I play, go out there, give my all 40 minutes every game, and just try and get this team to advance. But knowing it's her last, guys, you might think there's more pressure. She's trying to focus on the fun.
I love that. And we had just said it can be a lot of pressure, but got to keep the joy. We will regroup on that. We're going to head to another break here at Mohegan Sun. UConn continuing to roll here in the first round.
The Connecticut Huskies, a 3 seed in the NCAA tournament last year. Old past Jackson State. They then held off Syracuse by 8. They make it to the Sweet 16. They use their defense. Paige Beckers goes for 24. They hold off Duke. And then an amazing win and an amazing game in the Elite 8 as they got past USC before Beckers versus Clark in Cleveland. It was a wild finish.
I mean, watching this back and just reminiscing on how UConn literally played through that entire stretch with about 6 healthy players. To think that they were a different bounce or 2 from ending up in the national championship game is just remarkable. And that's why I think they are positioned to get back there and beyond this season, John, because they have so much more depth available, so much more health. And it's all going to start with that young lady right there, Paige Beckers, who, as we were talking about before the break, more determined than ever to get to that final game. And how many mid-range jumpers has Paige Bueckers made in this game?
Countless. She is 8 for 13 in this game. And Kim, she was 3 feet out of bounds before eventually slashing back up to make that one. There were 8 passes on that possession.
Wow.
8 on the shot clock. And that entry, there are 4 Huskies on the surroundings. A friendly bounce for Phoenix Giddy in her first bucket.
Yeah, good collection there from Gideon, because the UConn defense is just on a string right now. On the pass, 4 players moved in. And there's another rebound for Sarah Strong, who's already in the double-digit rebounding.
In the midst of all this, Connecticut is 2 for 13 from downtown. It hasn't even been their real A-game offensively when they outscored South Carolina by 30 from beyond the arc. Sky Owen glides in.
And you even see a little frustration from Paige Bueckers there, just kind of throwing the ball down a little bit like, come on, guys, how are we allowing a wide-open layup there?
Owen with 13 yesterday. St. John's locked Butler down in the second half to win their first-round game. Sarah Strong is fouled.
There is the danger in the mismatch with Sarah Strong. And here's that bucket, really smooth take from Sky Owen. And that was an interesting one from Paige, and I think she's a little upset at herself for not sliding in to help. Usually she's coming over from that weak side, trying to block a shot. She just kind of waved the white flag on that one.
Because it's almost like in her brain, she knows to herself, my coach is going to show that in the film room, and I'm going to have to put up with that.
That's going to be shown on loop a couple times in a row.
Well, you talk about that UConn standard, and Bueckers carries this type of wave. The woman at the line right now carries it too with Sarah Strong, because of course she's Big East Freshman of the Year. But Gino Auriemma says when you welcome in a freshman year program, you know either, okay, do I have to build them up, or do they just automatically have that UConn it factor? He said, I never once questioned if number 21, Sarah Strong, had that factor.
Yeah, I mean, it's been incredible to watch. There's certainly no leash on Sarah Strong as Ice Brady forces a turnover. It's like he just rolled Sarah Strong out there and said, do what you do. And what a remarkable freshman campaign she's had. And that's what he told us today, that he reminded her heading into this postseason. He had a conversation and said, just be yourself. He said sometimes a young player like this can get into their head a little bit about needing to live up to all of the accolades that they've earned this season. And he told her, just do what you have done for us all season. And I think we've seen that here throughout this first 3 quarters. Sarah Strong has really impacted all facets of the game.
7th double-double for Strong as Ice Brady steps back to the line. She missed a month. You see that wrap on her left shoulder. Was dealing with the injury. She and Strong on the floor together right now. But Brady came back on Sunday and impacted UConn positively.
And Gino reminded us pregame that Ice Brady had a really strong tournament here last year. You remember Aaliyah Edwards went out in the first game. I think it was a broken nose, and it was Ice Brady who really stepped up. So when you think about a player like Sarah Strong, this is her first tournament. He knows he can rely on the experience of a reserve like Ice Brady.
Just a sophomore. At 3 short. To your point, she combined for 31 points, 16 rebounds, 4 steals, a couple of blocks as well in the 3 Big East tournament games last year. The Huskies have won 33 consecutive conference tournament games. KK Arnold can't spin it home. But think about it, Kim. You'd have to go back to 2013 in the Big East final against Notre Dame.
Wow.
For a conference tournament loss.
Incredible stretch.
And Strong and Brady forcing another St. John's turnover.
One of the more impressive numbers I saw this year from UConn. This is their 32nd straight season with 25 or more wins, and it's not even over yet. Just think of that. 32 straight seasons with 25 wins. I think that the note from Anna was that only like 3 other teams have 5 or more straight seasons. We'll get the particulars.
Oh no, I've got them ready for you. Baylor, FGCU, and South Carolina.
But in how many years? Just under 5, right? Or
That's
5?
coming with the shot clock at 4. More to come, Kim Adams, by the numbers. Dwyer hanging. It's off. It would be Baylor with 22, FGCU with 15, South Carolina with 6. UConn is at of 25 games won in consecutive years. Ashlyn Shade all the way. It is just amazing in every way. You run out of superlatives when you talk about UConn women's basketball and the consistency of this machine. Down to 4. Mayo. And the foul on Arnold.
Not in the bonus yet for UConn. So even though she's frustrated, not the worst foul in the world, because now St. John's has to try to make something happen from out of bounds.
2.7. Now with 2 seconds here, they didn't realize how much time was on the clock, and that will make Coach Artemella not pleased with his team. Kim Adams, we're watching the All-American, the best in the Big East, and one of the best to ever wear a Husky uniform.
Paige Beckers is going to shine at this time of year, already up to 18 points in the Big East quarterfinal.
Women's basketball tournament quarterfinal number 1, UConn outscoring St. John's 19-10 in quarter number 3. They're riding a big first quarter as well to this dominant lead, but that's not stopping Gino Auriemma in his huddle.
It's great defense. Great defense. Okay? Great defense. Threes now for them. Switch everything. Okay? Switch everything. Get a hand up. No threes. No threes and no second shots right now. Okay? No threes, no second shot. And get every rebound.
UConn holding St. John's to just 28% shooting, but they have hit 5 threes between the second and third quarters. So Gino just telling his team how he wants them to defend that by switching all screens. And John, we asked him before the game, ooh, pretty look from Beckers the Fud. We asked him before the game, is there an underlying factor of the game that you think leads to success at this time of year? And he mentioned 2 things. He said it may seem cliche, but the best teams at this time of year rebound. They allow minimal second chance opportunities for their opponents, and the defense has to be really solid, especially in a setting like this where you're playing teams for the 3rd time.
Corner 3 is off. Chen trying to box out. It'll stay with St. John's. There's that work of art you were talking about.
Yeah, this team just plays so well together. AZ Fudd just moving from the weak side of the floor. Paige Beckers knows she's coming off of that screen. And UConn just really runs some beautiful offense. They overloaded that right side of the floor so that when AZ came off of that screen, no one could jump in to help.
It's also the element of you're up by 28 points and your coach is in the huddle still asking you to get stops. That is a really difficult finish by Dwyer. But it's also what this program is about, Tim, because they lead the country in scoring margin, plus 29. That dominant win over South Carolina, 87-58 helped that cause, but their scoring margin in Big East play was 34.
Yeah, and that's why I think it was really important, another cough up for St. John's. I think it was important to schedule those Tennessee and South Carolina games. The Tennessee game was kind of a gut punch. They lost that one, and then they responded so well against South Carolina as we continue the Paige Beckers pull-up masterpiece as her fans look on with the matching braids.
The braids are all over Mohegan Sun, and the amount of jerseys as well. You just walk through the lobby here, and it is just flooded with Paige mania. Her 15, 20-point game. Shot clock at 7. Kick to the wing. Fudd tried to corral, but a great effort by Dwyer. Couldn't hit the bunny.
Yeah, frustrating, but she's continuing to play tough. Sky Owens setting up a really good three-point look for her. Dwyer following up her own miss. St. John's continuing to fight, as they always do.
It's in their DNA, and they are in line as Shade pulls and is short to get an invitation, being over 500, and where they stand in the net top 80 to get an invitation to the WBIT. All signs point to St. John's this not being the last time that they hit the hardwood. If all holds here as Brady comes up with the steal. Brady running the floor, giving it to Shade. Oh, another missed layup, but Fudd cleans it up.
I love that even on that, like, 3-foot shot, AZ Fudd had perfect form. Like, it was just your form shooting at the beginning of the workout. She held the follow-through.
Are you surprised?
No. Nice Brady to Shade. Shade couldn't get it, but AZ Fudd, a little form shooting on this Saturday afternoon.
For Miss Beckers.
Aww.
It's so cool. You played this game, you played at Penn, and
no one was wearing my jersey out there. I mean, they didn't even make them back then.
I know.
No NIL.
But you know what? Your report cards.
You had to go to the bookstore and get like a team issued 100% cotton, too big. Like, we had the worst quality jerseys back then.
Kylie Lavelle's been the bright spot for St. John's with 11. If you could have done an NIL deal with any company, I wonder who you would have done it with.
I mean, I don't want to give any free advertising away on air. We could talk offline.
Okay, perfect. We got another 10 hours to go today.
Bring some money to the table before we start giving them shout-outs on FS1.
Caitlin Chen.
She is solid. Running that point guard position allows Paige to be off the ball a little bit, but they've been, you know, flipping those two back and forth, who's handling the ball up the floor, but such a steady option for Gino out there to keep the offense humming.
And as Allison brought up, Huskies are 42-1 all-time in this building as Al Alfie connects. And we've got a sellout crowd this afternoon. There's not an empty seat in this building.
Really great scene to see. I love seeing just how early the fans are lining up to get in here as we come into the game early in the day. They're out there. There's some activations from the Big East. I think you can get some shots up in the hallways of Mohegan Sun.
It is all about this amazing program which set such a standard in the 90s, and it's just kept it rolling for 3 decades. That's a sharp transition bucket by Little.
Yeah, it was nice hands at the other end from Ariana Vanderhoop on the steal. As we mentioned, this St. John's team. No let up here in terms of the effort and energy, but this UConn offense is so good, and we're seeing the depth on display that Gino talked to us before the game. I mean, Shade and Arnold, they were starters last year. They've really had great roles coming off the bench this season, but as you said earlier, they have like 7, 8, 9 people that really could be starting games.
Absolutely. Vanderhoop connects. The 7-3 for St. John's. St. John's has outscored UConn by 15 from beyond the arc in this game.
Vanderhoop has had an excellent showing. She's yet to miss a shot in this game. 3 of 3 from deep into double figures now.
She won the CAA tournament title. One of the best players on the floor for Monmouth 2 years back. As Dwyer commits the foul.
That was a foul by number 13, Shane Dwyer. That is her third.
UConn will head to Allie Zabel, the highly touted freshman. Comes in for AZ Fudd. We had Allie and other UConn now freshmen at the Nike Hoop Summit last spring.
Yeah, we got to work a couple of the All-American type events, which was really fun. Zabel, a top 10 recruit. Morgan Shelley around that area as well. She's unfortunately been shut down for the season.
Shea takes a bump and is fouled. That's what's so fun too, Kim, is the player development piece, because you just see these young women from that level in senior year of high school. The first year as a UConn Husky, they all talk about it. It can be jarring at first because of the standard.
And especially this season with all of the depth, as we're looking at 2 players we mentioned earlier in case you missed it. UConn announced Aubrey Griffin not going to play in this Big East tournament with knee soreness coming back from major injury. They are hoping that she will play in the NCAA tournament. And then Caroline Ducharme to her right, she recently returned to action after a very long time out dealing with different types of injuries.
Ducharme, one of the most beloved players in the locker room by the fans for all that she's been through with concussions. It's been great to see her get out on the floor. Trying to help them towards a title run and to snap what, well, by the standards here, a 9-year drought. Back to the Huskies. Kim, we were talking earlier about the attendance and about the fans and about all that this program does in the state. UConn is the first public women's college basketball program to report more than $3 million in annual ticket sales, according to Sportico. Their ticket revenue, more than 75 public men's teams.
It's big business. Impressive stuff.
Shade is long.
Invest in women's sports.
Bingo. Wire was fouled. Count it.
Continue to be impressed with her, John, especially because she's had some frustrating moments at different points of this game. She just had a foul call recently that she didn't like, and we're going to pause to hear this applause for Caroline Ducharme, who we were just mentioning, coming back into this game.
Caroline has been through a lot. And there were times, Kim, where she thought she might have to shut it down forever.
Yeah, she recently returned just a couple of games ago against Butler. It was her first time stepping foot on the floor since November 2023. So fans here very happy to see her make her postseason return.
There is Ducharme dealing with neck injury and then concussion protocol. And when she would get out on the floor and try to do anything, the bright lights would really faze her. So she's worked with different doctors, and it's been a process, but she is back out on the hardwood. Zabel. Nia Grant has checked, and she's got the basketball now for St. John's. Deep three for Vanderbilt. First miss, and it's Arnold. Gino Auriemma told us KK Arnold loves chaos. She thrives in creating it for a defense.
That seems spot on both ends of the floor, really.
And she is now. The delivery inside. KK is short. Fighting for the offensive rebound now. Lalfi with the give to Ducharme. That is special. You can tell how much someone is loved. The emotion in the building for a return to postseason basketball and a bucket.
And those are her first points since her return, so since November 2023.
And there's
an assist.
Caden Samuels and the goggles from Page. And a substitution timeout here used by Joe Tartamella just to get everybody involved. Well, you said it, just 11 combined minutes in 3 games for Caroline Ducharme. Here it is again.
First basket of the season since making her return since November 2023. And that's just beautiful to see all of those smiles. Everyone's so happy to see her journey come to this point. Very heartwarming moment, and a thunderous applause throughout the arena as well in that moment.
Milton, Massachusetts native, year 4 with the program. Think about that. November 2023.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking back to her stats. She was a huge piece to what UConn did in her freshman year. She averaged about 10 points per game. That was a national championship appearance year. She was a tremendous player as a freshman.
Sure was. I mean, that's South Carolina. She was fantastic. Now she's got the basketball. Cannot hit this time. But a 31-point Husky lead in a season where they've outscored their opponents by a nation-leading 29 per game. As Arnold has it, Kim. They held St. John's as Arnold can't hit to 2 points in that opening quarter, and they just rode it from there.
Yeah, they set the tone early. The defense was locked down. The offense was rolling, and Jana El Alfi sends that one into the cameraman. She's going to be a big piece moving forward for this team at 6'5". She doesn't necessarily have a lot of size matchups, people who can match up with her size in the Big East, but once they get into that big dance, there's going to be a lot of size that she's going to have to defend.
Well, we saw that in the win over South Carolina as we hit the final minute. When you look around the country, how well is this team playing right now among the other Titans at the top?
I think they are right up there. I would maybe give USC just a slight advantage over all the teams right now because of how well they have played as of late. But other than that, I don't think anyone is untouchable. For a while, it looked like UCLA was kind of the giant that nobody could touch. They've taken a couple steps back, or the playing field has met them. I thought Notre Dame for a while looked like, how is this team going to lose? They've dropped a couple. UConn certainly right in the top 1, 2, 3, a team that could be in that final game in Tampa.
USC meets Michigan, the Big Ten semis later today. UCLA and Ohio State as well, as they rise to their feet at Mohegan Sun.
The final score today is UConn 71.
Final ticks here. The Connecticut Huskies in their hunt for a 30th conference tournament crown. Started off by winning by 31.
Really nice start for Gino's group. As we mentioned, they set the tone in the opening minutes of this game. It was an 18-2 second quarter, and then just kind of rolled from there, led by their leader, Paige Beckers, who had 20 points to lead the way for the Huskies.